mentioned archons enough in this video. Archonic energies coming through to sabotage their true potential spiritual human experience. Because this world is about having experiences that bring us closer to God consciousness, also Krishna consciousness, Buddha consciousness, to understanding the Dhamma, to understanding the way, to understanding the path. And when we follow in the paths of others, we fall, we trip, we sometimes get jumped, we sometimes get sabotaged, we sometimes get robbed. And it may not be of something materially, we may be robbed of our soul. When you cut your own path, you're a trailblazer. When you go to the path where no one have never gone, there are jewels and diamonds and trinkets, and I say this all metaphorically, that are waiting for you on the path because you took the time to walk upon that path. You didn't just believe someone else or someone else's worldview. Now, to those that believe that, God made it clear at a certain point in time what the word was and what the thing was. I agree and I disagree with you on something. I believe that it's very clear to us, it's been made very clear to us in this universe that's been created, it's been created by that which we choose to call God, whether you see it as a monotheistic one or just another aspect of the infinite universe that goes on and on and on. Just intelligent energy or just energy, that's still God. Even if it's not a dude with a robe. Great spirit, creator, energy, all that stuff still applies, because something isn't just coming from nothing. It's still a part of a whole. So even if you look at things through an Eastern lens, there still is an understanding of God consciousness. It's just not a monotheistic one. So I see a world where it's in plain sight. Everything's in plain sight. How we reap what we sow through each generation. When we look at history, we see how wicked actions have taken down whole empires. Look at every group that's invaded Afghanistan. They've all collapsed. Russia hasn't completely collapsed, but they still could. The U.S. still could, but many of the other empires that have come through Afghanistan have fallen. We see many examples throughout history of cause and effect. And I think it's been made clear by that which we choose to call God. What is truth? And I think that there are many ways in which God works that many people that say they believe in God don't even think about. They may say God works in mysterious ways. Okay, well go ahead and define to me with your open mind and your deep introspective intuitive understanding all the different unique ways that Jehovah, Jesus, Yahweh, whatever word you've identified to be God. And there are some people that say, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be using Jehovah. When you look at the text here, according to the Gnostics, that was not God. So we have to be open-minded, but I don't believe that you have to have a certain name for God. Um, there are going to be those that say that Allah, Allah is the word of God. And you will hear others say Yahweh. And they will both attack the other. And they will both have a very compelling pieces of evidence that say this is the truth. And there's nothing that can go against that. This is the truth. This is what it says. And it says that all others are wrong. So therefore, it's fact because it claims it's fact. It's right here. It's right here. It's right here. What are you, a non-believer? It's right here. And the other side's doing the same thing. And another side's doing the same thing. And another side's doing the same thing. And people say to themselves, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think that is one of the stupidest things that human beings parrot. The road to hell is not paved with good intentions. I don't believe that at all. It sounds like someone embedded that into our collective language to throw us off of having good intentions. There are a lot of people out there that don't have good intentions, that are only intending good for themselves. They're not hearing or listening to others. They're hearing about their problems. They're not caring about how their villages are being taken over. They're just interested in themselves, their own bank account, and what they support. And they will use the word of God to manipulate others and to subject others and do some form of slavery. Unfortunately, it's still going on all sides. But I see a loving force in the universe that we're a part of, that we came from, that our souls splintered from. I see a reason for 7 billion people on the planet right now. And I don't see us all on the same level as souls. I think some of us just got to Earth that may have been in some other form before we were in human form. And I often speculate if some of those forms were what we would identify to be reptilian, what we would identify to be a gray or an archon or another form of what we would call extraterrestrial life. I think that there are some very vile, funky, strange motherfucking humans that are walking around right now that seem to have a different type of a soul. And some of them seem to have a general hatred for humanity, and it almost seems that some of them are ready to be activated at a certain point in time when they try to create more disturbances within the earth itself. So if you're truly looking for the truth about why you're here and the nature of God, you will find it, but you will not find it when you only read one text, or you only read one person's book, or you only listen to one person's documentary. I mentioned Mr. Ike earlier. We could be talking about him, or we could be talking about Mr. Maxwell, or we could be talking about someone else. A lot of these people get attacked by people that are really angry that they weren't successful at wooing them completely all the way, because they like some of the information but not all of it. They want to be led. If they were okay with just their own information, they wouldn't feel that they need to attack these people or call them the Antichrist or call them deceivers, because they don't cover everything. And this is why people like me get attacked as well. Once in a while, it's really not that big of a deal. Also, some of you may know that I used to talk to tens of thousands of people every single week. When I did my show, I'm probably talking to, a few hundred or a few thousand a week if I'm even doing YouTube videos. And whenever I talk about things of a spiritual nature, I notice that people want to start arguing more, or they'll just stop watching. And I've been on the spiritual path for some time, and then this whole year has been marked by people attacking my appearance, whether I have short hair or sideburns. People from a country that is basically responsible for the genocide of millions and millions of people. And I'm thinking, no guilt. And they think that they're awake. And so I realize that I do have a role to play, and it's to remind people that are still stuck in my God versus your God, my people versus your people, my color versus your color, my hairstyle versus your hairstyle, my clothing versus your clothing, my city versus your little out in the off the grid pit. All this different type of thinking is so polluted, and it's actually challenged me to not only speak deeper about these issues, but it's also challenged me, and I've been thinking about this more, to have a sense of compassion for some of you because you've been victimized. Someone fucked you up on this planet. This is a dark realm. In another video, in another time, I'm going to leave now and get some lunch and relax a little bit. I'm only doing a few videos this morning. Just some food for thought to get you to think about things on Church Sunday. Church with Alex. Welcome. And if people can't realize that they've been victimized at some point, that they're going to lash out subconsciously at people just trying to help them. And I realize that just because people lash out at me doesn't mean that I shouldn't say what needs to be said. Actually, I have a lot of ideas that I'm going to be exploring and I'm going to be expressing, because even if someone gets angry with me, they still heard what needed to be said to them. And I feel this intuitive, Alex, you need to start directing things more in this direction. And I remember being told by people when I got started that you need to keep this about the spiritual information, what is really going on this planet. And don't get caught up on this in this political bullshit. There was a time and a day for me to spend, an extended period of time on 9/11 or on this issue or that issue. Big Brother, those are my early years. I covered a lot of news that I introduced to aspects of my community that were in full-on denial that there was any surveillance society being built up after 9/11. There was massive denial about that, even still. There was less than before 9/11, because obviously we had an event that caused all these announcements that they were using facial recognition and whatever, and this, that, and the other. And now we've gotten to a point where people, for the most part, have accepted it as something either that's necessary for a lot of people to keep us safe, or the people have accepted it, saying that there's nothing we can do. We're already in the new world order. It's just a matter of time before they come for us and kill us. So I'm reminded how victimized some of you have been by things you're reading on the internet, by some of the experiences that have happened to you, by the things people have taken from you. And what I've had to do for myself spiritually, as I wrap this up in the next couple minutes, when I walked away from all those things in Portland, and when I walked away from all those things in Dallas and went off the grid, it wasn't a material thing. It was a spiritual thing. It was letting go and moving on and having faith that because I was doing good things and speaking the right things, that the Creator that I've always experienced in my life in some way, shape, or form, he, she, it, again, me not even having to give it a name, or haven't even come to believe in God through religion, just through an innate, built-in in the blueprint, oh, I understand this, and then the cognitive, synchronistic understanding of, asking for help and it being there, or needing something and it being there, or a person being there, and only needing what I need and not needing the extras, and when I do something wrong, I get slapped. So seeing how in my life what I put out there comes back tenfold, but that includes when I do negative things or think negative thoughts. And we're not going to go too deeply into the power of thought. We're going to spend some time on that in another video. But part of this understanding of energy, God, universe, is how these thoughts that we have in our head do transmit. Our brainwaves do transmit out to source and out to the ether and out to those around us. And on a deeper level, even though we may not be aware of certain things, we are aware on a level. What's going on with the person around us? What's going on with the person on the other side of the wall? What's going on the other side of the planet? There's a part of our consciousness that is not asleep. So these are all things to think about as I wrap up in the last 3 minutes. You want to be self-honest with yourself if you want to heal and you want to be free. And so as you look back in your life at the trauma and you try to heal those things, you're going to have to be self-honest with some of those things that have embedded themselves so deeply in your psyche. You don't have to be to the point of no return. I don't believe in altruistic statements. This is all good, or this is all bad, or this person's so gone they can't even be helped. That may be the case with some people on the planet, and it certainly appears that way. But whenever we project an absolute negative perception of a possibility, we give that potential possibility more room to be negative or to have negativity around it. And we know enough about how our thoughts affect reality on a cognitive level that we shouldn't actually be acting like this. It's like, with a lot of mainstream New Agers, they will say, law of attraction, what you do, and blah, 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 and you can completely be in a bubble, and you can have anything you want, anything you want. This is a version of some school of mainstream thought that's so based in self, and it's believed by a lot of these people that have attached themselves to what actually seems to be a New Age religion. I've always hated that term New Age religion. I've considered it offensive. I thought it was like attacking spiritual views. Now that I'm more mature, I actually now see New Age religions out there that are completely void of spirituality, that are all about self. You will see these people say being aware of what's going on in the world or trying to help other people, victims of war, that's being negative. And they are then making it negative for themselves and for those around them that they are in a position of teaching or speaking to on a documentary film. The Secret comes to mind, where you're saying people that want to have more love on the planet, have less war, are negative, that are actually causing the problem. Now that is wicked and something I identified to be from the demiurge, to be from the archons, to be from Lucifer, to be from Satan, to be from Shaitan. So start working on that part of yourself that has discernment. I'm going to close here now. You need discernment. You need to pray to discernment. If you're not willing to pray to God for discernment, you need to pray to your own God of your understanding, or you need to pray to your inner genius that you think you are. That at some point you will receive discernment into the real nature of God and how he, it, she, whatever is working right now on this planet.